guys, thanks for clicking. So today we're working on a Honda Civic. This is actually a 2002 Honda Civic, but we are working on the thermostat gasket, and then we were going to do the fan switch, which is right in there. I'm going to show you all the parts. That's the switch that turns on the electric fan, so the car heats up and the fan will go on. And then we will do the thermostat, the temperature control sensor also. I'm going to show you what all three of those parts are, what they look like, part numbers, and where they are on the car, and we're going to get them installed. Okay, so here we go. This is the old thermostat gasket. This is the thermostat housing. Thermostat goes in there. This is the fan switch, which screws into the housing. This has a sensor which tells your electric fan when to go on and off. And then there is the temperature sensor right there. This one you'll see on your temperature gauge, and if the engine gets hot or whatever, it's gonna tell you what's going on in the engine. So these are the three parts that we are going to change. Here is your thermostat. This is your genuine Honda part number for that. And then here is your fan switch sensor. And there is the Honda part for that with the QR code. And this is the temperature sensor switch. Same thing. All original Honda parts right there. We have aftermarket ones also that we'll put a link for. And you can, use whatever ones you want. But we do suggest using the original Honda stuff. So why are we changing all these parts? So this car is 22 years old. It's kind of new to us. It's been a little bit of a project car. We put a new radiator in it, new fluid. Car was fine. And then it just started the temperature gauge just started to climb right into the hot zone. So we saw that. We pulled the car over. We shut the car down right away because, if your temperature gauge goes up really hot, there's not a lot of time. You can overheat the engine and forget it. There's aluminum parts. It's going to be done within minutes if you don't pay attention to that. So why did the gauge go up, and why did it show that the car is running hot? That's a good question. I think it's the sensor. I'm pretty confident it's the gauge sensor because maybe you understand this or you don't understand this about cars, but like when I popped the hood open and the car said the temperature was like red hot, it didn't seem like that it was red hot, because if the car does overheat or get close to overheating, it's going to smell a little funny. You'll hear some noises you probably never heard before, and there's a good chance that you could have done some major damage to your engine. So with that being said, I don't believe that happened. And another theory of mine on that is we let the car cool down 100% and then started it and shut it off a few times, and the temperature gauge went right to the medium where it should be. And then less than like 30 seconds later, it started climbing right up to the hot. That's with the car stone cold. So that's not possible for the engine to heat up that fast. So with that being said, I really believe it is the thermostat sensor. So we're going to change all three of these, and I'll show you how it's done, and we're going to see if that solves our problem. Here is our super cool little Honda. This is the 1.7 4-cylinder, and we have already removed the housing. It goes down here. That's where the thermostat actually goes, and the housing goes there. And then that fan switch will go plug right into the side of that housing. And then this one right here is your temperature sensor. So we are going to replace all three of those and give it a go. All right, guys, so a couple of things to notice too. Now, obviously you want to clean this surface, make sure it's good. You want to loosen this sensor while it is still on the car, because this is an aluminum housing and it was pretty tight to get it out. It's a 17 millimeter. So with it bolted on the car in this position, it holds it on there well, so it's very easy to get that off. So bear in mind, loosen that up before you take this off. Otherwise, you'll have to put it back on and do it that way. Number two, notice which way it comes out of the engine and which way the gasket goes on, because it is pretty specific. There are some little nubs here, and it's pretty specific. It only goes one way. I don't know what the actual name of these little parts, some kind of a bypass here to let fluid through. And you got to make sure that it is in the right spot and that you put the little nubs on the right way and not backwards. Otherwise, it's not going to fit or it's not going to seal, and you don't want to have any damage done that way. So first thing we're going to do is put the new gasket on the new Honda thermostat and get that set. Okay, so we have our gasket on. We have it in the right position. We want to get it in here the right way. And like I said, I can't stress how important it is to make sure that you get it in the right position. Otherwise, it will leak and you will have problems. You don't want that. So, like I said, you want to make sure that that housing is on there right. You want to make sure that it is seated. There's no space, and you didn't pinch the gasket. You shouldn't need to use gasket sealer. It should just go on there. It's a nice fit. But make sure it goes in. Make sure these things are hand tightened and threaded in all the way, like that. This one is a bracket for. So that's that step. Now we're going to tighten these bolts up, and we will put in our sensor over here for the fan switch. Okay, so a couple of questions also, like why would that gauge do that? I'm not 100% sure, but also our fan was not kicking on. So now I'm not telling you to do this or not do this, but if you take the wire and you jump the wire for the fan switch and the fan goes on, then that's telling you that the switch is not good. It is starting to pour on me right now. It's not what I had planned, but I'm going to go ahead and get this tightened up. And one other thing is the thermostat itself. So the thermostat opens and closes, and that controls the temperature. It could be your thermostat can either stick open, and you probably wouldn't notice too much in the summer, but you would in the winter. You wouldn't get any heat. Or it could stick closed, meaning it's not circulating the water, and that can definitely cause your engine to overheat. Like I said, I don't believe the thermostat malfunctioned, but we're going to change it while we're in here. Okay, so now we're going to do the sensor. We took the old one out. It's a 17mm socket. That just comes right out of here. Take that out. You got your new sensor, has a rubber seal in there. Make sure the surface is cleaned, and then you're going to put this back in. Just hand screw it in there. And 17mm deep socket. The deep so it goes over the switch. Now this is all aluminum and very soft parts, so you're going to snug it and you're going to give it just a little push. You don't want to over tighten any of these bolts because you will strip them out, crack it. It's aluminum, like I said, it's very soft. And then you're going to plug your sensor back in. We plugged in the switch sensor. We put back both hoses. We tighten the clamps on both hoses. So this should be good to go. we're going to do now is we're going to add antifreeze back into the system, and then we're going to start it up and let it run and see what happens from there. All right, so now we're going to put antifreeze back in. We are recycling this antifreeze because we just did it not long ago, so I just put a little paper filter in there, and we will fill this back up. It looks like it's going to downpour on me, some kind of a thunderstorm, which is nice because it was very hot today. It's downpouring, so we're going in the garage for a minute. Okay, so one of the big problems with rain is anytime you do something, you want to make sure it's not leaking. So having some rain in there really makes things a little challenging. But what we're doing now is we are running it to see if there's any leaks. And we want to make sure the electric fan goes on. In another situation we were having, like I said, that's where the temperature gauge should be, is just below half. It doesn't have a number on it, but I think it's somewhere around 170 or 180. The gauge, like I said, was crawling all the way up to the hot. We've had the car on for about 10 minutes now, idling, and the gauge has stayed exactly where it should. I don't know, eventually the fan should come on, but at an idle the fan might not always come on that fast, so let's see what happens. That's what we're waiting for now. So what we're doing here is we're getting the air out of the system. So if your vehicle has a radiator cap like this one does, you're going to run it with the cap off. And as we bring the idle up and down a little bit, you'll see the bubbles come out of the system. So if you get an air bubble in the system, it can cause the flow not to work right. You could overheat the car. So you definitely want to get it all out. As you can see right there where the bubble just comes right up and out. You just have to be a little patient, give it a few minutes. Sometimes I shut the car off for about 5 minutes, and I'll start it back up and make sure all the bubbles are out. If you don't have a radiator cap, then you just do where the overflow is. Those are usually pressurized if there's no radiator cap, and you'll just do the same thing. You'll run that for a while until there's no bubbles left in the system. So that's what's going on here. So right here, we have our fans kick on. They should run for a few and then shut off automatically, and that's what you're looking for. And as we go in, we check the temperature gauge is exactly where it's supposed to be. We are currently having a bit of a tornado outside. Okay guys, so I hope that explained everything and exactly what you need to do. Sorry about the monsoon rain that we got in the middle of my video. Unfortunately, this is just the day I had to do it, so we got it inside. Just have to be a little bit extra cautious looking for leaks afterwards. And like I said, it explained before in the voiceover about getting the air bubbles out of the car if you're not familiar with that. I think I covered everything. Thank you guys so much for watching. Check down in the description for product links. We appreciate that. Take care. Peace.